critical rare earth materials.
A fresh blow in US-China trade war. US President Donald Trump has announced a 100% additional tariff on all Chinese imports, escalating tensions between the world's two biggest economies. Trump, posting on Truth Social, accused Beijing of taking an extraordinarily aggressive stance on trade and vowed a strong response. The tariff, over and above existing duties, will kick in on 1st November. And that is not all. The US will also impose export controls on all critical software.
We have airplanes, we have airplane parts. You remember that from last time. And we were just surprised that China have a very good relationship with President Xi, and they did that. This is not something that I, instigated. This was just a response to something that they did. And they didn't really aim it at us. They aimed it at the whole world. The whole world is subject to it. So I thought it was very, very bad. But we have many things, including a big thing is airplane. They have a lot of Boeing planes, and they need parts and lots of things like that, Steve.
Trump says the decision comes after reports that China plans to impose sweeping exports restrictions on nearly all its products, calling Beijing's move a moral disgrace. The sharp escalation threatens to upend global supply chains just 2 weeks before the CPEC summit. In another post, Trump even hinted at cancelling his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. He said, "I was to meet President Xi in 2 weeks at CPEC in South Korea, but now there seems to be no reason to do so." Beijing, Trump claimed, has sent letters to nations across the world threatening export controls on rare earths and other critical materials.
I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume we might have it. But, they hit the world with something that really is not anything that people are going to do. And it was shocking. I can tell you, Howard and I and Todd, we all, Scott, we were all speaking about it before. And we said, where did that come from? It was just, that was out of the blue, right? Out of the blue, they came up with this whole import-export concept, and nobody knew anything about it.
The tariff shocker has rattled global markets and set the stage for a high-stakes trade showdown between Washington and Beijing. With Trump hardening his stance and Xi yet to respond formally, the US-China trade war is now entering uncharted territory. This is the sharpest escalation yet in a trade war that has already shaken global markets. All eyes now on Beijing's next move.
Tata listing inevitable. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big scoop by our editor-in-chief Arnab Goswami, who gets us inside details of how the public listing could be inevitable at the Tatas. More about the back-to-back meetings in the NDA. The BJP is meeting different stakeholders. Amit Shah, JP Nadda meeting different leaders in Bihar. What's going on?
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल ये रंग दे ये खुशबू दे ये तीखा ये कम पड़े क्या निराला MDH मसाला
Lashkar-e-Taiba's deputy chief Saifullah Kasuri, who is believed to be the mastermind behind the Pahalgam terror attack, has openly threatened Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a clip that is now going viral on social media. In the video, Kasuri can be seen praising Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir, referring to him as Field Marshal, requesting him to teach a lesson to PM Modi similar to the Pahalgam attack on May 10, 2025.
हम सतलज के किनारे पर इस वक्त मौजूद हैं और ये दरिया सतलज जो हिंदुस्तान से होता हुआ हमारे जिला कसूर से इसी इलाके से पाकिस्तान में दाखिल होता है। मुझे भी सैलाब के दिनों में ज्यादा वक्त सतलज के किनारे पे सतलज की लहरों में सतलज की ऊपर चलने वाली कश्तियों और बेड़ों में ज्यादा वक्त गुजारने का मौका मिला है और मैं खूब जानता हूं ये सतलज में जो सैलाब आया है ये कुदरती सैलाब सारे का सारा नहीं था, ये मसनूई था।
Hi there, welcome back to your favorite deep dive show on stories contemporary and consequential for India. This week I picked three. First up, how Pakistan has stabbed its all-weather friend China in its back just so that it can humor an unpredictable American President Donald Trump. Not only has it started sending rare earths to the United States, but also offered America a port right next to Gwadar for exclusive extraction and evacuation of those minerals. What happens to the CPEC? Beijing must be wondering. Second, there's something fishy about the rise of gold prices. It is short-term cheer for those invested, but might be an indication of a bloodbath coming. I would explore. And finally, the Thalapathy phenomenon in Tamil Nadu politics. Why, despite 41 deaths in a stampede at a mismanaged rally in Karur, not only other political parties refuse to target Vijay and his TVK, but are openly courting him, cutting across the divide. We look at the paradox. Let's get going. Only 2 months after China literally fought on behalf of Pakistan against India during Operation Sindoor, providing much of the war machine with which its defense forces engaged with India, Islamabad has stabbed Beijing in the back. International Finance Daily, the Financial Times, reported this week that Pakistan has offered a port to the United States, abutting the Arabian Sea along the coast of Makaran. Guess where? Right next to Gwadar. The port of Pasni, which the report talked about, falls in Gwadar district itself and is barely 100 kilometers from the Gwadar port built by China. The avowed purpose of the offer seems to be evacuation of the mineral wealth that Pakistan has promised to Trump's America, with first consignment reaching the United States again this week. Tennessee-based strategic metals company, the USSM, which signed a US $500 million deal with Pakistan military's Frontier Works organization last month, has started importing the minerals, a sample of which General Asim Munir was showing to President Trump at the White House in the pictures. While it's still being debated as to whether Pakistan indeed has the mineral resources that it has promised Trump, the stabbing of China is something that needs attention. It is nothing short of a geostrategic earthquake for Beijing that has sunk at least US $50 billion in the China-Pakistan economic corridor. And Gwadar is the showpiece of both economic and strategic rationale of that investment. Over the last decade and a half, over 100 Chinese nationals have lost their lives in bomb blasts and suicide bombings targeted by a hostile local population and terrorists alike. The Chinese dream was that with this investment, Beijing would get exclusive rights over the mineral wealth of Baluchistan, that China would control a key artery from its restive Xinjiang province to the Arabian Sea and provide a land route to the Gulf countries bypassing troubled Afghanistan. China was salivating at the prospects of mining the recordic gold and copper reserves in Baluchistan, as also other rare earth minerals in the province. All that has come to a naught. A rentier state, forever looking for new clients, Pakistan has hogged the same mineral wealth to Trump's America now. To rub salt to the wounds, it has even provided a port to be developed at Pasni, miles away from Gwadar. Beijing would be left licking its stab wounds. It does not end there. The US operating Pasni would put paid to the Chinese dreams of exclusive exploitation of that mineral wealth. The Chinese have already been frustrated at Pakistan's failures to deliver on CPEC, from security to economic returns. Some of the soft loans have been rolled back. In other instances, the Chinese have expressed frustration at slow progress of projects despite China providing all support. Look at this recent video of a sheepish Shehbaz Sharif being confronted in Tianjin.
This installment is there. The money is already there, and the feasibility study there, and the problem is just make the process.
And when was the study completed?
It's not a study yet.
No, study, feasibility study.
Feasibility is already done.
When?
It's already done 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
Yeah. When professor is there.
Pakistan's move to invite America so close to Chinese strategic interests amounts to betrayal that Beijing was not expecting. Noted geopolitical voice from Pakistan, Aisha Siddiqa, has called this a stab at Iran also. The port is just 100 miles from Iran's border, and if the Americans come in, they get a listening post on Tehran. The fact that Pasni could rival Chabahar, presently managed by India, gets the Pakistanis directly threatening Iranian economic and political interests. Taken together with the recently signed defense pact with Saudi Arabia, aimed at defending the kingdom from any nuclear attacks from Iran, Pakistan has effectively written off its brotherhood with the Shia Iran. Some say India's interests also get compromised. But we are at Chabahar only to manage the show for Tehran. Getting a land route to Kabul, bypassing Pakistan, was a strategic achievement. But we would sure find a way out. The larger issue out of this development is the geopolitical rivalries that this one move creates between China, America, and Iran. While China goes through a learning curve on Pakistani debauchery, Afghanistan, all too familiar with Islamabad's flexible spine, would perhaps even be angry. Remember, just last month, the kind of aid we provided to Afghanistan after the earthquake could not have been possible without access to the Chabahar port. Every Afghan knows and realizes the constructive development role India has provided to their country over the last 25 years, irrespective of who is in power in Kabul. As we speak, Taliban's foreign minister, Amir Khan Motaki, is in India. And just to give you an idea of the importance both sides are attaching to the visit, while External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar skipped delegation talks in Mumbai with the visiting UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the Taliban government spurned Pakistani offer to host Motaki immediately after the Moscow talks, preferring New Delhi as his port of call instead. Not that it helps Pakistan. The CPEC has been ready for a decade now, but with little benefits percolating down to the masses. The Gwadar port utilization remains less than half its capacity and potential. Just this week, the World Bank released a report on Pakistan underlining the gaps in its economic recovery. The artificial booster dose from the IMF bailout has only stabilized a possible collapse of Pakistan. But people are not benefiting. Household well-being has worsened. Poverty has increased from 21% in 2018 to 27% in 2024. More than half the population lives below the poverty line. 40% children are born stunted and suffer from malnutrition. Foreign investors are pulling out. Procter & Gamble realized that there's no progress, only gamble in Pakistan, and pulled out of the country this week. It is a part of a larger MNC exodus happening from Pakistan. Procter & Gamble's departure follows a steady stream of exits by MNCs such as Shell, Telenor, Uber, Careem, Sanofi, Bayer, Gillette, Microsoft, Yamaha, Eli Lilly in recent years. According to the State Bank of Pakistan, the net FDI in their country this year stood at a paltry $2.46 billion against $30 billion for Bangladesh, once a colony of these Pakistanis, or at least that's how they treated it. When Pakistan began its tryst with terror in the 1990s, Standard Chartered Bank had 170 branches across the country. Today, when its bandmaster-looking general celebrates Operation Bunyan al-Mardood in support of terrorists, the bank has just about 50 branches. Pakistan Army is getting completely hammered by the insurgents in both Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In the last 1 month, the Jafar Express has been attacked twice, and the army has lost a score of its soldiers, including 2 senior officers. The reasons why Americans might fail, and not for the first time, are the same that the Chinese have. The locals are excluded from the deals and their benefits. In a way, it's an old story. The harlot of world geopolitics that Pakistan is. It had offered Gwadar Port to the United States back in the 1970s by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. Americans did not show interest, so it went to the Chinese in 2006 under Musharraf. The same Pasni Port that is now being offered to the Americans by Munir was as recently as 5 years ago dangled to the Russians by Bajwa in Pakistan's attempts at wooing Moscow into its orbit. There's already resistance. Article 172 of Pakistan provides for joint ownership of natural resources between the center and the provinces. It might be convenient for Trump and his business partners to deal with a single point of contact in failed Marshal Asim Munir. But the people of Pakistan need to realize that their bandmaster general is not their savior, but a doomsday Pied Piper, throwing them into a geopolitical chakravyuh from which Pakistan won't come out unscathed. Moving on. How much gold do you own? Or how much of the yellow metal the women in your household have a stash of by way of jewelry? If you own some or quite some, you would have realized your wealth has increased by about 50% in the last 6 months alone. Every day, gold is scaling new heights. This Tuesday marked a milestone. Gold crossed $4,000 to an ounce for the first time in its history. The development has come right in the midst of Diwali festivities and ahead of the wedding season in India. Reports suggest there's a massive backlog of orders with jewelers having money but no supplies of physical gold. Buyers are going for advance bookings so that they can make their symbolic purchase on the day of Dhanteras or for that wedding. That occasions some connecting the dots. There's more than meets the eye. It goes all the way to Donald Trump, perhaps. Famous investor and author Robert Kiyosaki, in a provocative post on Wednesday, called it the end of the dollar, recommending his followers to buy gold, even at these levels. Ray Dalio, another big name in the financial markets and the founder of one of the world's largest hedge funds, believes investors should still allocate as much as 15% of their portfolio to gold. Dalio said gold stands apart as a hedge in times of monetary debasement and geopolitical uncertainty, adding that it is one asset that does very well when the typical parts of the portfolio go down. This got me curious. Dalio says invest in gold when things are going down. But hey, nothing is going down. Real estate is up, stock markets are up, crypto is up, bond yields are up. What's down? And then you realize, dollar. The US greenback is down to its historical bottom, on track to record its worst year in 40 years, down 10% year to date. That explains why Dalio said in the same interview that it feels like 1970s when inflation, heavy government spending, and high debt loads eroded confidence in paper assets. Others who have expressed similar sentiments include Jeffrey Gundlach, CEO of Double Line Capital, and Citadel founder and CEO Ken Griffin, and Canada's Franco-Nevada CEO Paul Blink. These business honchos believe that the gold rush is nothing but a hedge by nervous investors against increasingly uncertain policy environment engineered by President Donald Trump. Griffin cautioned that America's market rally is nothing but a sugar high that masks underlying risks like inflation and dollar weakness. The rising price of gold is an alarm bell, not a happy jingle. It is a distress signal. There's an asset inflation away from the dollar, and gold prices are only one more indication of that. Trump might not like it, but people are de-dollarizing as a hedge against his policies. Griffin is a Republican, even if he is not classic MAGA, so you believe him when he says Trump is not right. The United States' use of its currency as a foreign policy tool under Trump has jolted much of the world. Sanctions, financial restrictions, and US dominance over the SWIFT system have shown just how much the US dollar can be used as a political leverage.
How about BRICS? You know, the BRIC states, there are like 6 of them, and they were trying to destroy our dollar. They were going to say, you know, they wanted to create a new currency. They probably wanted to use the yuan. China, they wanted to use the yuan. The first thing I said is any BRIC state that even mentions the destruction of the dollar will be charged a 150% tariff.
This is happening in the backdrop of diversification of world trade as everyone hedges against everyone else. For many emerging economies, the US is no longer their main trade and investment partner. Yet its currency still underpins their transactions. This disconnect has imbued with fresh urgency the efforts of many to explore alternative monetary channels. BRICS is an example of that. As a consequence, since the start of 2025, the US dollar index has plunged over 10%, marking its worst performance in over 40 years. The reasons are manifold and all connected with Trump. Aggressive tariffs, pressure on Federal Reserve to cut interest rates despite increasing inflation, a big, beautiful spending budget despite big ballooning national debt. These policies have triggered retaliatory trade measures, reduced foreign investment, and increased borrowing costs. The dollar's role as the world's reserve currency is under threat, with central banks shifting reserves into gold and other currencies. Delio and Griffin both compare today's environment to the 1970s when inflation and debt eroded the confidence in paper assets and currencies. Back then, gold surged as the dollar weakened. Today, history may be repeating itself. As that old saying goes, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Trump is railing against de-dollarization. He has been threatening every world leader into staying with the dollar. But his very same actions are making people, the masses, hedge against the American sovereign risk by de-dollarizing. Moving on. Tamil Nadu and its politics present a picture of contrasts like no other. An atheistic politics embedded in a deeply religious landscape. Separatist tendencies of a Perayar juxtaposed with the supreme patriotism of Mahakavi Bharatiyar. Iconoclasm of Dravida politics contrasted with the hero worship that literally makes leaders out of their film heroes and heroines. To say that Tamil politics has flair for the dramatic then is an understatement. For decades, the state has blurred the lines between cinema and governance, turning silver screen icons into chief ministers and fan clubs into political cadres. And after the Karur tragedy that saw 41 killed last week, the spotlight is firmly on C. Joseph Vijay, the superstar who has launched his party, Tamilaga Vetri Kadagam, TVK, and is being wooed by every major political outfit in the state. On the day of the Karur stampede that happened in his rally in his presence, not one word of condemnation came from the political opponents. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin rushed from Chennai to oversee relief, but his police did not question the star for over 48 hours. Congress's Rahul Gandhi called Vijay from Colombia and expressed words of sympathy over the loss of life, because those who got killed were, after all, Vijay's fans. Very next day, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman visited the mishap site, but without one word against the rally organizers. BJP blamed the DMK government instead for mismanagement. This when the star is as yet untested on the political turf. His entry has been preceded by failed acts of Kamal Hassan and Rajnikant. Even relatively successful DMDK of Vijaykanth has faded over time. What then makes Vijay such an attractive proposition that he is considered beyond reproach? Forget reproach. A week did not pass after the Karur stampede and the Edappadi Palaniswamy-led AIA-DMK went public with alliance proposal to TVK chief. His party's flags appearing in an AIA-DMK rally on Thursday. To understand the phenomenon, let us rewind a bit. It all traces back to the 1950s and 1960s, when cinema wasn't just entertainment. It was a tool for social messaging. Think about it. C.N. Annadurai, the founder of DMK, was a playwright. M. Karunanidhi, who led DMK for decades, was a prolific screenwriter. They used films to push their political ideas like anti-Brahmanism, Tamil pride, and social justice. Enter M.G. Ramachandran, or MGR, a swashbuckling star of over 130 films. In 1972, he split the DMK to form AIA-DMK. And by 1977, he was chief minister. MGR wasn't just a politician. He was a demigod. His films portrayed him as a savior of the poor. And that image stuck. He ruled Tamil Nadu till his death in 1987. Blending welfare schemes with his star power. Fans did not just vote for him, they worshipped him. Like literally, there are still temples dedicated to MGR across Tamil Nadu where devotees perform pujas to his statue, treating him as a protective deity who still watches over the masses. His legacy was carried forward by his own screen partner, J. Lalita, who went on to become a towering political figure. Porachi Thalaivi Amma had 6 terms as chief minister by the time she died of ill health in 2016. The temple building for film stars by now had become a cultural phenomenon. These temples symbolize how stars transcend mortality, becoming eternal icons. Like for MGR and Amma, so for even the living stars. Actress Khushbu Sundar, for example, who jumped into politics with DMK and later the BJP, had a temple built for her in Tiruchirappalli back in the 1990s by adoring fans. Rajnikant, the Thalaivar, has a temple in Madurai where fans pray for his health and success every day. It's wild. Fans pour milk on his posters, build shrines with his photos alongside gods like Murugan. This hero worship blurs lines between cinema, religion, and politics, making Tamil Nadu's electoral battles feel like epic mythologies. Vijay's fandom, as he transitions into politics, has to be seen in this light. He can qualify as a Nepo kid. Born in 1974 in a Kollywood family to director S.A. Chandrasekhar and playback singer Shobha Chandrasekhar, Vijay debuted as a child actor in 1984 in Tamil film Vetri. Over 3 decades since, he achieved both commercial success and critical acclaim in Tamil cinema, capping it with the sci-fi action flick GOAT, the greatest of all time. In February of 2024, that's last year, Vijay hung his boots as Thalapati or commander of Tamil cinema. Like it happens with superstars south of the Vindhyas, Vijay had his fan club in 2009 and supported the AIADMK, then led by Jayalalitha, in the 2011 Tamil Nadu Assembly elections. His fan club also contested local body polls, as those are fought without political party symbols, in 2021 with reasonable success. Of the 169 seats contested, Vijay's fan club won 115, thus germinating the idea that he could launch a full-fledged political party. This led to the birth of TVK. He calls the ruling DMK in Chennai his political enemy and the BJP at the center his ideological enemy. Born to a Christian father and a Hindu mother, what's clicking for the young actor? He's only 51 years. Is his charisma and tremendous Gen Z-centric social media traction that his team manages. If anything, the Karur tragedy has only unraveled how his political success has run ahead of the curve from organizational point of view. There were clear signs that apart from administrative lapses, party organizers also failed in time management. The crowds were told that he would arrive early, so they started gathering, only for Vijay to arrive well past 7 p.m. For good 6-7 hours, the party made inadequate arrangements for the masses in the sweltering Tamil Nadu heat. Irrespective of all the wooing, the road ahead is going to be tough. Recent failures of Kamal Haasan and Rajinikanth are indicative of the fickle-minded box office that hustings are. Vijay's TVK, with its focus on education, health and anti-corruption, echoes MGR's welfare populism, but with a modern twist. Ultimately, do voters choose based on charisma or capability? Vijay is facing that now. Post-Stampede, critics question his readiness. Looking ahead to 2026, TVK could be a kingmaker or a spoiler. If Vijay allies, despite denials, it might reshape alliances. Maybe a BJP TVK tie-up to counter DMK's dominance via the AIADMK. Or he goes solo, splitting votes and benefiting incumbents. Either way, it's peak drama and very native to Tamil Nadu. Thanks for watching.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Attorney General Bondi, why did you publicly claim to have the Epstein client list waiting for your review and then produce nothing relevant to that claim?
Senator Durbin, if you listen to my entire clip on that, I said I had not reviewed it yet, that it was sitting on my...
In February, you made a public claim that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now for review, end of quote. You then produced already public information and no client list at a major media event hosted at the White House. Attorney General Bondi, why did you publicly claim to have the Epstein client list waiting for your review and then produce nothing relevant to that claim?
Senator Durbin, if you listen to my entire clip on that, I said I had not reviewed it yet, that it was sitting on my desk along with the JFK files, the Martin Luther King files. And I said I had not yet reviewed it. And if you see our memo on Epstein, you will see, our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list, our July 6th memo.
Going back to the Epstein files, according to another whistleblower who made a protected disclosure to my office, You pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records on
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा मसाला
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल। ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Good evening, viewers. You're watching 6 Stories at 6 and I'm Rakshita Mishra with you. Viewers, the top story today is the Deoband diplomacy and how the Afghan foreign minister visited the Darul Mazloom today, and what significance, what connection does it have? We're going to tell you on this show if we can. Story number 2 is how Pakistan is on ventilator. This time Lahore is on the boil, and Pakistan's own proxy, Pak Army's own proxy, the TLP, is now coming to bite the Shahbaz Sharif government and the Pak forces. And viewers, it's a big alarm that has been set off by the pilot's body on the 787 fleet. Story number 4 we move on to next will be how Bengal has been shamed once again. A rerun of RG Kaur, a medical student from Odisha, raped in Durgapur on the hospital premises, viewers. And story number 5 will be the update on the Tata logjam. Republic TV gets you the inside scoop. Only on Republic, viewers, we get you the latest updates on the Tata Sons listing. Is it happening? What's really happening behind the scenes? And finally, viewers, the update on Kokanag operation and tribute to the 2 soldiers who laid down their lives for the country. We were starting with the reset in India-Afghan ties. As Afghan foreign minister arrived in Deoband in Saharanpur of Uttar Pradesh, one of the most influential Islamic seminaries in South Asia, that is. Now, remember, this is a potential center for spiritual diplomacy, a neutral and culturally significant venue that fosters ties with India even more closer. And Afghan Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi voiced his confidence as he visited the seminary, saying that India-Afghan ties will grow stronger in the future, as he thanked the people for the welcome. He got a rousing welcome, he got a guard of honor as well when he was visiting Darul Uloom in Deoband. Viewers, listen in.
बहुत अच्छा सफ़र है और उलमाए देवबंद, तलबाए देवबंद, बल्कि सारे इलाके के लोग आया है। मैं इसके मशकूर हूँ। उन्होंने बहुत अच्छा इस्तकबाल किया और उन्होंने ज़्यादा मेहमान नवाजी किया। ज़ाहिर है कि उलमा और तलबा के दरमियान वाबस्तगी बहुत तारीख़ी है, इसलिए मैं आप हज़रात और देवबंद का काबिरीन और इलाके के जो उलमा है, तलबा है और आवाम है, सबका मशकूर हूँ।
Meanwhile, tensions are high in Lahore, viewers. Already Pakistan is irked with what's happening between India and Afghanistan. But in Lahore, viewers, we see that violent clashes have erupted between the police and the supporters of the radical Islamist group Tehreek-e-Labbaik in Pakistan, the TLP, that has left several people injured. And in fact, several have been killed, as claimed by the TLP. TLP says that civilians have been targeted by the Pakistani forces and that at least 11 civilians have been killed. Demonstrators marched towards the US consulate in Islamabad, but they were met with heavy police response. Here's more.
The violence in Pakistan's Lahore has intensified. The clash between TLP protesters and police in Lahore have resulted in multiple individuals being injured. TLP chief has alleged that 11 TLP workers have been killed and over 2 dozens have been injured. The violence erupted in Pakistan's Lahore city yesterday as clashes broke out between police and supporters of the radical Islamist group Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan. 2 people were killed and dozens injured, including policemen, as protesters attempted to march towards the US consulate and later to Islamabad in protest against Israel's actions in Gaza. The protests quickly spiraled out of control, with demonstrators hurling stones and beating officers with sticks, while police responded with bait-in charges and tear gas to push them back. The clashes left parts of Lahore virtually paralyzed, with roads blocked and heavy security presence on the streets. The unrest comes even as Hamas and Israel reached a ceasefire deal brokered by the United States. Yet tensions in Pakistan remain high, underscoring the government's struggle